Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul Channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. The people I thank have inspired me. Hope they can inspire you as well, and I will have links below to their sites. They are Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Elon Anavar, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Rabbi Daniel Azer, excuse me, Rabbi Michael Skopak, Jews for Judaism, Rabbi David Ashir, Rabbi Ron Yerbain, and Rabbi Yosef Chesney. So if you've never checked out this channel before, I will have a link below to my first video, which explains what M.L.M for the soul means, what it stands for, what I'm doing. So this is taken, excuse me, I don't know, all of a sudden, a little coughing there, from the Tiferes Yosef by Rabbi Yosef Chesney, and this is related to Parashat Noach, or Parashas, however you pronounce it, and I call this the merit of one person. So again, everything, when I'm saying, like, I would like to share, he's saying it, I'm just repeating what he's saying. So, I would like to share a beautiful medrash. This is from the Yalkut Shimoni Remez Chaf Gimel, from last week's Parasha, meaning Parashas Bereshis. When Hashem created Adam, the angels became confused which one of them was the creator, and they wanted to say Kadosh, holy, to Adam. The Midrash, which is the commentary, compares this to the following scenario. A king once came to town in his royal carriage together with a royal officer who was dressed like royalty. The citizens desired to sing praise to the king, but did not know which of them was the ruler. What did the king do? He pushed the officer out of the carriage. Now they were able to discern who their leader was. The Midrash concludes that this is why Hashem made Adam fall into a deep sleep, to make it clear that he was not the creator. What does this Midrash mean? Why did they think that Adam was Hashem? So Rav Reuven Grozovsky, I never heard of him, but apparently he's a rabbi, right? Explains it as follows. Adam, through his service of Hashem, gave continuity to the world. The angels recognized that the world continues to exist through him. In this aspect, he was similar to the Creator. But Hashem did not only create the world, he continuously sustains it. And this is what Adam was doing through his service of Hashem. Only once he was sleeping were they able to discern that he was not the Creator. It was not only Adam who had this great power, we have it as well. Rabbeinu Yonah, when discussing how man must liken himself to Hashem, writes, just like Hashem creates worlds, so too we must be a creator. We do not physically create worlds, but through our deeds, we sustain the world, and in this way we are similar to Hashem. We see this concept in this week's parasha as well. During the Mabul, which is the flood, Noach was given the responsibility to care for all the animals. Hashem has many paths of a salvation. So why did Noach have to become a zookeeper? Why couldn't they be saved through a different means? So Hashem destroyed the animals along with the people because the animals had also perverted their ways through illicit relations, unfortunately. I'm adding that word. Chazal explains that although this is against the innate nature of an animal, since the people sinned in this area, it had an effect even on the animals, causing them to sin. Yet we find that there were a few animals of each species that had not sinned. With such negative energy from sin polluting the world, how were these animals able to steer away from sin? It's a good question, right? Just like you could compare it, and I'm just adding this, today's day and age, like how do people stay away from it? So here's what we get an answer here. So I believe we can answer these questions based on the concept that Rabbi Tzadok expands on. Rabbi Tzadok writes that everything in the world needs continuous spiritual sustaining power in order for it to exist. Our souls are the pipelines that transport this hashpa'ah. Every positive action that we do creates sustaining energy to many creations in the world. So that's very key, with positive actions. Conversely, when we sin, it has a negative impact on all that which is sustained through the pipeline of our neshama, which is our soul. So Rav Tzadok explains that that which we end up owning is because it is connected to our soul. We sometimes walk into a store and see hundreds of items, yet we are attracted to a specific item. Why is this? It is because on a deeper level we have a connection to this item as it receives its sustenance through our neshama. A very interesting concept. So this concept sheds light on the aforementioned questions. How is it that all the animals were influenced by the people? The answer is the souls of those wicked people served as a conduit for the heavenly spiritual sustenance that kept these animals in existence. Because this conduit was tainted through the sins of the people, the animals were affected by it as well. So Noach was righteous and his neshama was pure. And thus the animals who received their spiritual sustenance through his soul were not affected by the sins of the generation. They were the animals that came to the teva, which is the ark. Since they were intimately connected to Noach, they were saved along with him, and it was fitting for him to tend to their needs. And then he has an aside, like a note, that says that similarly we find that Yosef, we know Yosef from Mitzrayim, had the job to provide food to the entire world. And why was that? It's because he was, in spiritual sense, he was what we call a tzaddik yisod olam, a righteous person that's like the foundation of the world. In whose merit, the entire world received its sustenance. As a reflection of this, in the physical world, he was the one to provide them with food. So that's just a footnote he had based on that. So again, he continues that he says, I recently read a great story, and this is from a book, The Night is Not Dark, chapter 11 and 12. I don't know what the author's name, but that's the name of the book. This story took place about 100 years ago in a small Polish shtetl of Stebov. Never heard of it, but okay. The village was home to roughly 80 Jewish families as well as 300 non-Jewish families. This is actually a really great story. Most of the small shops in town were owned and operated by the Jews. They were not rich, but they had what they needed. All was well until the local priest, Anthony Burak, received orders from Warsaw to make a boycott against the Jewish shops. Here he ran into a problem. There was no non-Jewish shops that could replace the Jewish ones. Yet he did not let this deter him. He had one of his followers, Mr. Akolinsky, start a department store that would sell whatever one might need. Shortly thereafter, he announced the boycott, and anyone who did not join it was subject to public humiliation. The plan worked, and the Jewish businesses suffered. It was a matter of time before the Jewish shopkeepers were struggling to put bread on their table. Something had to be done, but what? The suggestion was given that someone must go to the Chafetz Chaim to receive his blessing. So I guess at that time that this happened, the Chafetz Chaim was alive. So one of the shopkeepers, Rav Nachman Bernstein, was chosen for the mission. He traveled by horse and buggy until he reached the small town of Radin. He came to the house of the great sage and was in awe while standing in his presence. The Chafetz Chaim's face radiates holiness. I can only imagine, this is again my aside, coming to see a great gadol like that, or even in this generation, but of course in previous they were even holier. It's pretty awesome, I would say. So Rav Nachman began recounting his tale of woe. The Chafetz Chaim listened with sympathy and began pacing the room while mumbling, what can be done? Suddenly he turns to Rabbi Bernstein and says, is there any shops that are open on Shabbos? Is there anyone that desecrates Shabbos publicly or eats non-kosher food? The Chafetz Chaim understood that such a deed could adversely affect the entire town. Rav Nachman thought it through and said, no, everyone in our town keeps Shabbos and eats only kosher. The Chafetz Chaim probed further. Is there anyone in your town who is studying in an yeshiva? Rav Nachman replied, indeed there are several bachurim, which are young men, including two of my sons, one who is learning in the mirror and one who is in Bar Anowitz by Rabbi Elchanan. Upon hearing this, the Chafetz Chaim concerned expression melted into a hopeful smile, and he said, if you have a soldier in Hashem's legion, everything is fine. I have found a merit for your town. So Rav Nachman returned to his town, excited to deliver the hopeful message. He was surprised to be greeted by his smiling townsmen. They told him, the salvation has already come. Akolinsky, I think his name was, which was the man we talked about that opened the department store, the owner of the new department store, announced this morning that his God, it's not a real God of Avodah Zarah, idol worship, came to him in a dream and instructed him to close his shop and give away the rest of his merchandise for free. Sounds bizarre, but that's what happened. His shelves have emptied in no time, and now the townsfolk have once again begun to patronize the Jewish stores. At a later time, the Chafetz Chaim was asked how he was able to pull off such an open miracle for the town. He replied, it wasn't me. It was in the merit of the boys from the town who study Torah. We see how powerful an effect our actions can have on the world. I would like to conclude again, says Rabbi Chesney, with the following powerful thought according to one opinion in Chazal. Noach was only considered a tzaddik in comparison to his generation. Had he been in Avraham's in generation, he would have not been considered special. What message is Chazal trying to impart with this? Mefarshim, the commentary, explain, we see from Noach how the merit of one person can preserve the entire world. Most of us would think that this does not apply to us as we are not among the great of the generation. For this reason, the sages tell us that Noach was not from the greatest men who ever lived, yet he had the power to preserve the world through the merit of his actions. The message is that every one of us must realize the power that is in our hand. If we actualize our potential in serving Hashem, we too can bring sustenance to the entire world, and hopefully we will also merit to live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of our final everlasting Beit HaMikdash. Amen, and thanks for watching.